tell you a little more truth. I graduated in one of American college, a Christian college, and it was almost 3 years ago since now. So I wasn't preaching maybe for 3 or even more years in English. And for me, it's like I feel like I'm preaching first time in my life right now. Not because I don't know what to say, but I'm trying to figure out how it would sound from my unexperienced previous 3 years Russian preaching timeline, you know. And actually, I want to tell a little bit about my education more because, you know, because of this study in America, right now I'm very familiar with your culture, very familiar. And when I just came to America, I thought I know English. When I came to America, I thought I know English, but as soon as I came, I figured out, but I definitely have to learn it more. But another struggle I had was when I woke up, went in my room. You know, in Christian colleges, you have different rooms, and each room has 2 beds, so you live for 2 years with your roommate. And guess who I got as my roommate? I only have to tell you his name and last name, so you'll figure out who he is. His name was Peter Mamawa. Mamawa! Like that. Yes, so I was like, where are you from? He's like, I'm from Uganda. Uganda! Yeah, so that's the reason I'm very familiar. So every morning he would wake up, he would wake me up, and he was like, Roman, let's do a push-up. I'm like, no, Peter, I'm about to sleep 2 more minutes, so don't disturb me. So he would do every morning his push-ups, and after he would go and pray, and he was definitely a good example for me. So in the next coming year, we were together, even as a team, we were leading a morning prayer service. So me and him, we were like a good bunch of prayer warriors there. You know, one from Uganda, another one from Russia. Like, can you create something more difficult? You know, can you do something more I would say crazy? You know, for that American culture, they're like, yo, these two, they just from another planet. You know? So we would go and we would ask them out to come to pray with us in the morning at 6 o'clock. So, you know, we didn't announce our prayer in chapel, in school center. We didn't even announce it, but God was bringing a lot of students, American students, English-speaking students to our prayer, and that was a revival rate in that college. You know, so it was a very good experience for me. And you know, when I was studying there, we had 39 different nationalities. So one of them was from Zimbabwe. Some people were from Nigeria. You know, I was not wise enough to tell Nigeria. I said Nigeria, and he was like, "Yo, you don't need to say such a stuff here in America because like Niga is like a bad word. So you say Nigeria, don't say Nigeria." Yeah, so I was very rude Russian there, you know, but people gave me some off because I was Russian, you know. But I still remember one guy his name was Oluwatobi. He was from Nigeria. Oluwatobi, and Tafazo. Tafazo, that's like a common name in Zimbabwe, I think. Tafazo. So I still stay in touch with them, and it's like very, very good experience for me to share and to remember. And so happy that God is bringing you here in Russia in our cold weather to prepare a revival here, you know, to bring some revival from Africa. We need it here actually. And you know, I'm about to talk about what salvation is. So my topic is very fundamental, and you know, we have a different types of ark, different type of covenant ark in Bible. And let's look first in the book of Matthew. Can you open up with me Matthew 6th chapter? We will read the very famous couple of verses. Matthew 6 chapter, verse 31 to 34, we will read. You know, when another struggle was for me to understand my Nigerian and Uganda's God, because especially people from Uganda, they don't have O in their pronunciation. They only have A, you know, but they don't say proverbs, they say proverbs. They don't say circle, they say circle. Like, not chronicles, chronicles. So I was like, Peter, what are you talking about? He was like, I got you. Yeah, so another thing, yeah. But that was interesting. Okay, Matthew 6 chapter 31st verse. Let's read. Therefore do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows what you need, all of them. But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Amen. Amen. And if we will try and find somebody who was living like that, who was searching God's kingdom first, the name of this person would be definitely Noah. And he was proving this type of living not only for 1 year, not only for 2 years. He was proving this thing for 90 or almost 100 years by his building. He and his family, they were together, they were building the ark. And you're probably all familiar with this story when God showed him the vision, and He showed him the Ark of Salvation. And you know, right now we have different type of salvation in our Bible, different types of ark. And I think it's very interesting for us to look up what did God show to Noah. And before that, I want to ask you a question. We all remember then there was a flood on the earth, and God's plan was to bring all animals, all living souls to that special ark and to save them in that wood, you know. And my question is, didn't God was able to save them without this ark? Wasn't God able to save them? And why did God need such a building as ark, such a spending for 100 years? Some family had to build it, had to use their hands to build it and to prepare something special like that ark and after, people even didn't want to walk in. People didn't want to know what is this, you know, and they were all laughing out. And my question is, wasn't God strong enough? Wasn't God wise enough and powerful enough to save all people without this wood? Why did God need this wood? Have you ever asked yourself, why did God need this wood? I think God was powerful enough to save anybody even without this construction. He had this power to save, and but God gave us a picture, not just the picture of this family, not just the picture of His plan, but He gave us a good, clear vision how this ark was constructed. And my point is that this kind of construction, this kind of plan, this kind of how it was organized is a good type of saving covenant for us. And let me explain what I mean. I will not turn the book of Genesis because we all remember how it was looking, but talking in general, this ark has 3 different levels. 3 different levels. And I want to talk about those 3 different levels. First level we can call a level which represents God's relationship with man. So we will call it man-God's level. And that level was on the top of the ark. So every morning when Noah was waking his family up, right after that he would go upstairs, he would go on the top of the ark, and he would talk to God, because on the top of this ark, on the top of this like ship, yeah, we would have what we would have. There was nothing there special, but the only special thing they had there was God's presence. So when he woke up and he go upstairs, he would see stars, or heaven, or clouds, and he would talk to God. He would receive his instruction, what he had to do. He would ask God for how long this water will stay on the earth, what actually he need to do, what he had to do next. So that was a special level which wasn't able to give to this time of the salvation. We can't represent salvation without this level. It's man's, God's level. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And he was building it for 99 years, for 100 years he was building it. But God never gave us whole plan, you know. He wanted us, even when he's saving us, to be on that level. To wake up and every morning, every day, go on that level and ask God what we need to do. Right after, when he would receive what to do, God would send him all the way down. The next level Bible is saying and showing us what this ark had is a very dark level. Very dark level. It was right downstairs. There was a bad smell there. There was maybe a little bit stinky atmosphere, you know, because of animals. So what he had to do there, every day he had to go down to take food and to feed these animals. Give each animal its food. Give them drink, so they would able to be saved with them. He would able to clean after them, you know, because he didn't need to keep mess there, so no animal would get any disease, because right now theological saying that a whole trip was about 150 days. So 150 days. It was about 150 days. We know that only rain was going down for 40 days. But after, they would still have to just swim, you know. And it took about 140 or 150 days just to dive. And he would every day have to clean after them. He would feed them, and he had to be very serious about it, because that was his, let's call it, mission level. Yeah, let's call it the mission level. So every day he would wake up, he would receive God's command, and after he would go to serve. Tell a neighbor, God wants you to serve. God wants you to serve. You know, right now we have this kind of Christianity. Then people say, I have my computer, I have my YouTube channel, and I can watch everything I need. I can survive by watching YouTube sermons. And you know, if you don't want to watch the resurrection by YouTube, you gotta go to church, not by YouTube. You gotta walk into church and serve, you know. Because if you consider yourself as a YouTube server, don't you want to watch this resurrection on YouTube, you know? So, and right now so many people, they say, why do I need to go to a church? Can I just look at my computer, open my window and just see my streaming? Why do I need to come? And the answer is, because your salvation is not just man's God's relationship, it is a serving relationship. Your ark is not a yacht, you know. You know, we want to create, instead of church, the yacht, where would be only good preaching, good services that would please us, and we will only receive something. But when God asks you to come here, that means He wants you not just to receive something, but give it away from you. And I think God was able to feed this animal by himself. He was able to clean them. God could do better job than that family did. But he wanted Noah to serve. He wanted us as a church look up at this and to be fresh about it. Don't trying to create our church as a monks. When we will just stay in four walls and pretend we're holy. This is not the only goal for us, just to save ourselves. We need to serve, and that was another level. And the third level he had, it was the special, and I think that was his favorite level. It was right in the middle. Which level it was? It wasn't the roof, it wasn't the bottom. If you go right on the roof, there was a fresh wind, that was God's presence. Down, that was very dirty. But in the middle, that was a place for his family. There was a bed, there was a pillow there. I think he had his storages with food. When he would serve enough and he would get tired, he would go right in the middle and check his family, talk with them. They would able to sleep there, to have a dinner, breakfast, having a meal there, That was his family level. I think that was his favorite level, where he could just rest. He didn't need to serve there hard. He didn't need to ask God there. He would have to just talk to his family, to stay in touch with them, to ask how they're doing, to rest with them, to have fun with them. I think to make joke together, like that. Right now we have a different Christianity that would say you gotta serve, you gotta pray, and forget about your kids, forget about your family. God will take care of them. No, it's not. It's not the case. It's not the truth. You have to keep your family together. You have to stay in touch with them. You have to spend time with them. You have to be with them. You have to hug your family. You have to be there. Sometimes it's enough to just be there, And don't try to prevent you holy enough to separate yourself from people. There is a people who pretend to be so holy, but somehow their own family hate them. I don't think that's God's plan for us to save our life and please God, please mission, but our own family would hate us. I think God wanted him to be saved, to feed animals, but he wanted his family to be saved too. And when this ark stepped by the mountain, all his family together in unity, they went out and they built the first temple. It was just a couple of rocks, but they made a sacrifice together. They worshiped God together, and that was another level of responsibility for Noah. So what do we have together? We have three different levels of responsibility. Don't try to separate your life from God because of family and because of your mission. You don't need to be too busy with mission and separate you from God's vision. And right now we have a third type of people who are saying, I'm too busy to come. I'm too busy. You see my animals? You see my mission level? You see how much I have to do? You saw how much kids I have? All this stuff. But there was a moment when he went up on the roof and God told him, find a bird and let this bird fly, and you will know that salvation is near. And he received an encouragement. All his family received an encouragement because they were listening God, and God told them what to do, so they would understand what the end is near, and they had a hope. And right now I see so many pastors and so many teachers, so many families, they're losing hope. Why are they losing hope? They do mission. They stay in touch, they pray together with family, but they forgot the roof level. They forgot the level, and only God can give you hope right now. in your situation, you need to receive a special command from God. Say amen. You need to receive a special command. Because sometimes we get too busy. We're already on the mountain. We're already on the mountain and God wants us to release. God wants us to go and to save another people. But you're stuck down on another level. You're stuck with your family. And you didn't want to leave that 2 levels and go up on the top on the roof and ask God, what is my next level? So God wants you to release. God wants you to release and give you hope and give you encouragement. So you don't forget the next level. Amen? Amen. And the very wise thing God wants us to understand is the balance. Balance between these three. Balance between God's time and God's responsibility and between your family. So I believe it's all understandable. Amen? Amen. And another thing I want to talk about is I already told you about mission level, yeah? And right now you're probably asking me, how can I figure out my mission level? Because yes, I understand I have to feed my family, I have to, it all sounds good. It all sounds good, but how can I make this balance and to have effect, to have influence by my life? And I want to look up at a very interesting story. We all remember who Martin Luther was. Do you remember who Martin Luther was? Yeah. Yes, we do remember Martin Luther King too, but 400 years ago there was another Martin Luther who brought the revival in Europe. So what he had to do was just a revolution, Sounds very ridiculous, but he definitely made a revolution in Europe. So since that revolution, we had not only Catholic Church, but we have Pentecostal Church as well. And one of his major effects on that time was his abilities to print Bible in understandable language. But I have a couple weird questions to you about Martin Luther. So we were able together to figure out how do we need to focus our life. And as I said, this question will be kind of weird, okay? Just be patient with me, okay? I'll ask a couple weird questions. And I don't know, do you have the answer for this? It doesn't really matter right now because I'm leading to something, but okay, let me ask you. First question, you all remember who Martin Luther was? Tell me one thing. Which clothes he wore? Which brand? Do you remember? Was it Gucci or Adidas or Adibas? Which clothes he used? Okay, if you go to Wikipedia, if you go to internet and you try to search about this, okay, which shoes he had? Do you pay attention for your shoes? Do you love good shoes? Очень, yeah, you love good shoes. But I have a question, as I have a question to myself. There was a great guy, okay, which t-shirt he had? I think you don't know. I think nobody knows. Okay, another question. Can you tell me how many horses, how good those horses he had? There was no car at that time. But which transportation he used? Was it horses? Was it camels? What was it? There was no car, there was like careta. How do you say careta? Like this thing for horses. Chariot, yeah. Which chariots he had? I told you that was a weird question. Go on the Wikipedia to find it. I'll tell you you're not able to find it. Okay, another question. Can you tell me what was in his room, in his house? Was it expensive or cheap? Both. Was it like big house or very big? Was it out of bricks or out of wood? What about his forks? Was it golden or silver? Okay, and now I want to clarify why did I ask such a weird question. You know, these three things. You know why we don't know nothing about them? You know why we have known nothing about it? Even we don't know which haircut he has. Because all these things doesn't matter. It's not important. Which clothes he had, which chariots he had, good wheels or no, big or small his house was. Right now, 400 years away, we look back and we don't care at all. We don't need to know. And it's not only because we have new technologies. Even if we would have same technologies, we would don't care. How much money he spent for his food, how much money he spent for his room, how much money he spent and where he did find his clothes to wear, how much money he spent for his wife's presents to give maybe a good ring or good makeup to his wife. We don't know. And you know, even historical people who would search and who would try to make some history for this man, they would not mention it. Because after 400 years, when time goes by, you look back, you don't care. You don't need to know it. The only thing we need to know about this man is his level of serving God and serving people. Well, the only thing we need to know about this man, how he knew God and how he served people. This is the only thing we want to read about, study, learn, trying to find how did he serve? How did he figure out his calling? How his life was influenced and by whom his life was influenced. All we want to know is influence he had. What he did to other people, not to himself, to other people. You know, and right now, when we live and we ask God, what is our goal? We need to succeed in our life. What is our mission? You know what we usually ask? God, how good my car will be. How big my house will be. God, how good my clothes will be. How expensive my food will be in my house. This is the thing we're trying to ask God. When we say in prayer, God, I want to know your mission. Honestly, many times we think about money. We think how much we will receive by doing His mission. How much we will have by obeying God. But you know why God is not saying nothing about it? Because it doesn't matter. When time will pass by, it will not matter how good your clothes were, how good your haircut was, how good and expensive your car was. And I'm not saying this is not important. It is important. But when you look in general, the only thing is important is what did your life matter to God and what did your life matter to other people. How did it affect your generation? How did it affect your culture? We all know how did it affect it when he was living. It was like a bomb. It blew everything up. Whole system. He blew up whole system. He blew up whole system by bringing new, fresh fresh oil of salvation on earth. He told people that we need to go to Saint Maria no more. We need to go to other saints no more. We have God, we have cross, we have the blood of Jesus Christ, and that's enough. So, and same thing we have to do in our generation. That's what we have to do, to tell people that God's grace is enough. Living of Christ was enough. His sacrifice was enough. And that's the only way we can affect our generation. That's the only way we can make our life important for our generation. Effective in our time. That's the only way. Time changes. People come and go. But God's sacrifice doesn't lose His power. It still keeps all power. It still keeps all influence. Just in these 3 words, Jesus loves you. Jesus saves. And the only thing is how you will take this, revelation and how you give it away. This is the only thing that will make your life important. And right now, we look back, and even for me, it's hard to understand. Talking about Martin Luther, you know that he had very rich friends. Martin Luther, that was a time of kings, that was a time of monarchy, and all his neighbors, all his friends, they were very rich. That was German monarchy, German special people, you know, who kept power at that territory. You know how did he spend this amount of money? He spent it for the printing office. Whole money he had, he would take it. He was like, okay, it's a lot of money. I'm not buying new food, new shoes. I'm not buying new clothes. I'm not buying new horses. The only thing I'll go buy is paper to print more Bibles and to translate it and I'll receive. Oh, thank God for this amount of money. I can have more colors. Like I need to print. You need color, you know. I'll buy. Can you imagine someone will wake up and okay, who wants to tell me your name? Marina? Yeah. Marina. Can you imagine like Donald Trump is waking up tomorrow and he was like, okay, where is Marina from Nizhny Novgorod? I want to give you $1 million. And Marina is like, yes, Lord! I'll spend all this $1 million for paper. And her mom is like, daughter, my daughter, be wise, please. Be wise, please. Don't you spend this amount of money for paper. And that's what rich people would tell Martin Luther. Rich people surround him. His neighbor had golden forks, golden clothes, golden roofs. But we don't remember even those names. We don't remember who was his neighbor. We don't remember how good they were living. Even people at that time respected those people more than Martin Luther. We don't even know the name of these people. Because all they did, they spent all this money on themselves. They spent all influence God gave them on themselves. And right now, nobody wants to know who you are if you spend all you have for yourself. Nobody want to read about stingy person. Nobody wants to know stingy Marina. We want to know godly, generous Marina. That's the effect God is having for us when He wants to bless us. And right now, we ask God, God, bless me. Please bless me. And the question is, what are you going to do with this blessing? Are you already prepared everything for yourself? Or you have a mission level? Do you have the mission level? When God blessed Noah, he spent his entire life, entire resource to build the ark. Right now we don't need wood to build the ark. We don't need to find nails to build the ark. but we still have to build the ark by saying out loud to people who surround us that grace is there, that hope is there, that Jesus Christ's resurrection is coming. And that's the effect, that's the influence, the very influence we are able to live here on earth. And you know, in the closing of this sermon, I believe that was a simple word for you. Can you just stand up with me and to pray?